I'm Alan Weiss, and this is the writing on the wall. Hi, I'm Alan Weiss. Welcome to Writing on the Wall. This is episode number 71. I call it All Aboard! Do you know there are no more cross-country trains? Where is Ayn Rand when you need her? My wife had knee surgery not long ago, knee replacement, and so she couldn't travel by air for X amount of time because of the fear of blood clots and so forth. But we wanted to go to Los Angeles. I had some work to do, and my son lives there. He's an actor. So we decided we'd take a cross-country first-class train trip. Always wanted to do that. So since there are no more cross-country trains per se, we boarded the Amtrak Empire Builder in Boston and took that to Chicago, where we changed trains for the Southwest Chief. 2 trains cross-country. And this was an experience. Almost every Amtrak employee we met was gracious and helpful and wonderful. And virtually all of them were 20-year-plus employees. The first-class steward going from Boston to Chicago was with Amtrak for 39 years. Amtrak's been in existence for 41 years. Everybody was a long-term employee. These are railroad people. And they were very, very cordial. In Chicago, we had about a 5-hour layover, which is not unusual because trains are sometimes erratic. And so we went to the first-class club, the Amtrak Club in Chicago, and I want to tell you, it is a depressing place. It's like being in purgatory and waiting for directions. We brought the average age considerably down. The best thing about Chicago was in Union Station, which is also desultory. Apparently, train people aren't very creative. They name everything Union Station. Los Angeles, Washington, Chicago, all Union Station. But the best thing about it was there's a sports bar there where you can get a half-pound BLT, a half-pound bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. A half-pound of bacon. I say that 3 times to prove that I can. It comes with an insurance policy. But otherwise, Union Station was pretty drab. And the first-class lounge was drab, except I learned one wonderful thing about human life, about people. A man and his family came in, man, woman, and their family, 3 children, and their train had already been called. I had heard their train called. They were going to Texas. But they settled down, they put the toys down, he was reading them stories, and one of the club hostesses came over and said, "Your train's been called. You better get out there." And so he hustled everybody together, and out they went. And about 10 minutes later, a woman who had been sitting there looks down and she picks up a wallet. And she said, "Somebody left a wallet here." And she opens it and there are thousands of dollars in there. So the hostess hustles over, they get a security guy and they look at the ID. It was the guy who was there with his family who left to get this train at the last minute. They ran down to the track, the train hadn't left, they gave the guy his wallet. And the woman said, "Oh, I'm glad they got it to him. That's happened to me twice now this year." Restores your faith in people, doesn't it? It was worth being in that first-class lounge in Union Station in Chicago. We actually traveled through backyards, especially going from Boston to Chicago. You're like a voyeur. You're looking through people's backyards, through their junk, through their dirty laundry, through their pets, through what goes on back there, untended pools, you name it. From Chicago to Los Angeles, you're going through great open spaces. You see more corn than you ever want to see, but then you see open spaces where there is nothing. I mean, not an antelope, not a jackrabbit, not a rattlesnake, not a beetle. Nothing. The entire world could live there. Miles and miles and miles of nothing. I figured the train averaged about 60 miles an hour cross country. You averaged better than that in the highway. It made 45 stops. From Boston to LA, these 2 trains made 45 stops. Average of 45 minutes, average of 65 miles an hour. And I found that it looked like we'd be 45 minutes late getting into LA, but we got there 45 minutes early because Amtrak, between Fullerton and LA, the last stop, pads the schedule by an hour. So they're virtually never late. Not bad. The train stops at all different places at all different times. It stops at 3 in the morning in some places. It stopped in some godforsaken place in Arizona, and these 2 women with whom we had dinner one night, you sit with strangers in the dining car, which is nice, they told us, both in their 70s, they were getting off at godforsaken Arizona at midnight, and a bus was meeting them to take them to Vegas. 40 people from this train got off and got on a bus at this place in Arizona and took 5 hours to get to Vegas. So 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, they're pulling into Vegas. People on the trains either hate to fly, or they're looking for economy, or they're train people, or the train only goes to the places they need to go. No one else does. What if flight attendants worked for tips? You know, on a train, you tip everybody. You tip the red caps, you tip the first class car attendants, you tip the dining room attendants, you tip everybody. And they're all grateful. I wonder if you tipped airline flight attendants, if they'd be a little more hospitable. Something to think about. When we got to Union Station in Los Angeles, our first class attendant, tipped well, took us out first. And she said, I'm going to get you a cart. You have to get one of the first carts. You have to wait for them to come back. This guy puts us on this tractor with our luggage, and I gave him 20 bucks. And when you give these people 20 bucks, they look at the dollar as if, they look at the bill as though it's counterfeit. And then they look at you and they say, thank you. And this guy took my wife and myself down the track, had a police car move, around another track, down a ramp where we had to keep our elbows in, it was so narrow, into Union Station, through Union Station, past the ticket booth, past the waiting area, people scrambling out of his way, out the front doors to the limo that was waiting for us. That's service. By the way, we flew home because my wife was then cleared to fly 10 days later on Virgin America. If you've never tried Virgin America, try it. It's as close to Pan Am as you're going to get these days. And the first class flight attendant told us that one of their executives had come from Pan Am. Brief digression, but think about it. So aside from hitting my head on the ceiling 2 or 3 times a night in first class there, it was an interesting experience. My wife and I had a great time. I want to thank Amtrak, and I want to tell you one more thing. Amtrak welcomes dogs.